Welcome to the Cali Sober Mom Podcast. Monica and Brittany are changing the conversation about motherhood, cannabis, and mental health, considering themselves unhinged Martha Stewart adjacent. Monica is a previous corporate America warrior turned mom and voice in the cannabis and consumer advocacy world. Brittany is an artist, business owner, mother, and mental health advocate. Now, here are your hosts, the Cali Sober Moms.
And today we are going by the incredible Kenya Alexandra Davis. Kenya, how are you today?
It's all good. I'm so happy to be here with y'all. Thank you for having me.
Tell us what you do. Tell us a little about what you do and why it's so fucking cool.
I do a lot of stuff.
Kenya is awesome.
You lead her in, Monica. Yeah.
I found Kenya on LinkedIn. I had to say that because it makes Brittany roll her eyes every time I say LinkedIn. But no, Kenya kept popping up on all my LinkedIn stuff. And I'm like, man, this chick is doing some really cool things. It seems like I want to talk to her more. So we connected. And I would say within 30 seconds of us getting off the phone, I was like, oh, you're my spirit sister. We might not be in the same state, but we're so similar because you're also a mom of 3. You're interested in cannabis, but you're not trying to run the cannabis world. You're trying to make it less stigmatized, conversational, creative, fun, everything a woman is, right? And so I think you're perfect for us, but I'll let you explain in a little more detail what you do.
I love that you said that. I am just the fact that that's the vibe I gave you, that makes my heart so happy because you get me completely. I do want to bring back the fun, right? The cannabis industry has been so just corporate-y and structure-y and hard. I want to be a part of it, but not like that. So it is just kind of bringing that more fun, playful, feminine vibe back to the cannabis industry so it can flow a little better and it can be a little just more loving, I guess.
Yes, and you have definitely been in it longer than Brittany and I have. I accidentally tumbled into it in January, February. And my whole goal is to help destigmatize, but it's not necessarily where I want to be forever. And Brittany, how long? It's just really when I dragged you down with me, right?
So I had already used cannabis specifically for migraines. It is also the only thing that ever treats my, I have chronic shingles. I've had shingles since I was 20, which is wild. Most young humans do not get it, but it's one of the only things that's ever been able to treat it. And I remember being in Colorado at a wedding. I was shooting a wedding and I had shingles. And if you've never had it, it basically feels like somebody's punching you in a bruise all over, just constantly, all the time. And I knew I had to get through this wedding. I literally walked into my very first dispensary and said, I'm begging you to give me something to knock this out. I have to be able to shoot this wedding. It's a weekend-long wedding. We were shooting in Estes Park. We were all over. I did not have time, energy, or patience to be in pain the entire time. And it was the first time that I had used cannabis medicinally, and it changed everything for me. Everything. It's how I treat my migraines. It's how I treat my anxiety. And yes, I still have pharmaceuticals and all of these things, but at the end of the day, it's just what helps. So that's what I use. And when Monica asked me to come on her last season, we talked a little bit about mental health and kind of the roads that we had gone down. And at the end of the day, we had a lot of aligned visions for what we wanted for ourselves and for our kids and for our futures. And I think that we might be on two sides of the same coin, but ultimately we're flipping for the same thing.
And how long have you been in cannabis now, Kenya?
Oh my God, it feels like so long. It really does.
How'd you get here? Tell us all the things.
So I'm a mom too, and I was really not a weed person, at all. I tried it in college, but it was just not for me. But that was different, right? And then I got all of these children, appeared in my life, and I just did not have any space. And so I started exploring plant medicine. I started doing initially started microdosing shrooms, and then started smoking more cannabis, and it just has helped me so much.
Don't you feel like a better mom most of the time?
I'm such a better
I'm
mom.
so much less of a bitch.
I'm
so much less
person, right? Like
I'm a better human. I'm a better wife. I'm a
all
more
of
present
that.
mom. Like,
What?
I'm better to be around. Like, you should all be thanking me, not judging me that I am microdosing you out my time with you.
Honestly, because it just helps my mind. Okay, baby, get one.
And this is the best part about being a mom, folks, is that this is what makes us fun, is that we are still moms.
We're
trying to do things. And they're going to pop up. And that's the beauty is that, okay, I get my 30-second political rant.
Go.
I feel like the world wants to separate us, right? Like, send your kids to school, go to a 9-to-5 job. Like, everything about the standard matrix world separates us more and more and more from our kids. But by getting these opportunities to be entrepreneurs or be creative or just step outside the matrix, we face judgment first and foremost that then we have to destigmatize. But we're with our kids. We're getting to teach them. We're getting to show them the world. We're getting to do all of that. And that's such a beautiful thing. So in case anyone heard Kenya's amazing child there, we love it and we support it.
I love that you said that because I was doing accounting in cannabis. I was doing cannabis accounting and it was just so hard. It was so serious and so just like unbending and like unwilling to let me be creative. Right? And so like it felt like I was building my business. I was building my fractional CFO firm, and it felt like, okay, yeah, I'm getting it. Like now I can put my daughter in daycare. I can afford to do that. And then it was like, okay, now I gotta work more. It feels like I might have to get my kids in an after school program if I'm gonna do this for real. And I was like, wait a minute. This is not what we wanted. Scale it back. And so I recently just made this shift into creating stickers and doing more fun things that really matter but don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of you for realizing that because I think so many people don't. I think, we're pre-programmed to believe like this is what we're supposed to do. And the mentality just keeps that grind going. So for you to realize it and choose to take a step back is so huge. So if nobody's told you, kudos to you for making a hard decision and going against the grain. And guess what? You're still normal. You're still awesome. You're still a badass mom. But also for the listener that might not know, because it's a term that I've now become very familiar with. But whenever I say it to others, I feel like they either stare at me blankly or they directly ask, but do you want to explain what a fractional something is? Because I think a lot of people outside the entrepreneur world might not know that.
I work with a bunch of different people in this industry, a bunch of different companies under my own company, but I'm able to just take this process or take this department over from them and build my own team to be able to do that over and over again in other cannabis businesses.
So kind of like a contractor?
Exactly. Like they would pay me as a contractor or like a business. So instead of hiring a whole accounting department, you just pay me this and I use my accounting department.
Interesting. Very cool.
And also it's cool because in life right now, there's so many startups, right? It's either go work for a set in stone, brick and mortar company that's been around forever and work your way up, right? And everything that comes with that. But by going with fractional, it benefits both you and the company because say me, for example, like being in a new startup and trying to start something, like I have a lot of accounting needs that I can do some basics, but I can't do everything. But I'm nowhere near being able to hire a full-time financial officer for my company. So by using Kenya as a fractional, she is that caliber, but she's doing that like 10% for my company and 10% for this company. So we can have a quality level person, but not pay those rates that we just aren't capable of yet because we also don't need that much yet. It's fascinating. There's chief marketing officers. There's fractional human resource officers. Like, it's just a really cool thing. So listener, if you are very skilled in something and you've like, I have no idea what to do with it, look up fractional, whatever you're good at. There is a market out there for you. So thank you, Kenya, for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your favorite things that you've done so far with that? Like, who's your favorite people you've worked with, or things that you've been able to do moving outside of that?
I really actually enjoyed all of the people I got to meet and all of the businesses I got to like touch with my fractional CFO firm. And I have made like really lifelong friends and connections from doing that. I specifically try to work with women and minority-owned businesses in the space, small mom and pop people in the space who couldn't necessarily afford to go out and get that accounting firm to do it. And so my favorite cannabis client is Roland Love. They are a dispensary in Las Vegas, New Mexico, family-owned business, just very, very charitable, great people who really are serving the community that they're in. So like, shout out to them. And it's been such a great experience, like the people that I've been able to meet as a result of doing that work.
That's amazing. We will put that in the show notes because as Brittany and I say, like, those are the businesses we want to support. Part of this podcast is finding those, because when you Google, it's who's paid the most. We all know that. But we really want to support the people and the companies that are providing these products we love, but also giving back to their community, which I absolutely love. My question for you, since you've been in this industry longer, way longer than either of us, what would you say is the biggest misconception the general public has about the cannabis industry?
That everyone's just smoking weed and having a good time. It's not a good time. Not that fun. It's so much work to be done. So people think that like people are just smoking weed and it's gonna be, it is hard. The cannabis industry is a very tough industry.
It is. And it's like the government makes it hard. Business practices make it hard. But then also sometimes people make it hard on each other. Like, it just blows my mind what can happen in this industry. What do you think as consumers people could do to help break some of that stigma?
Well, something that I'm actually working on right now is I'm trying to get more consumer data, like directly from consumers, to try to help break the stigma. And so we are doing. Okay, let me put this in the sock, and then I need you to go out and close the door. Okay? Can you help me out and do that?
All
right, it's in there.
Are the best people on this planet.
I tell people all the time. So I have 5 kids, Kenya, not to interrupt your story, but I could do anything with one child. Anything. Like I can conquer the world with one by myself.
World. Just one? That's it. Okay,
Just one?
great. There's no one to fight with.
I need
I'll
nothing.
take it.
Total side note, last March, we took our kids, so 3 kids under 3, on a Disney cruise.
Oh, ma'am.
And we were with there was this sweet, sweet dear couple behind us in line one time, and they had one son who was 3, and they were like, I don't know how you do it. We have one, and we have our parents here.
One for four adults?
I just wanted to slap them, but then I was like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, you don't know how easy one is.
Currently queuing up the video for if she comes back so that it's already ready and I can just like hand and move on.
I know that.
Yes. Okay, so going back, you are about to do something, or you are doing something in this space that's going to help us crush some stigmas. Tell us.
So I have a company that I'm starting. It's called Stash Bag Data. And the whole point of the company is to connect the cannabis community better to the cannabis industry so that our insights are being taken into account for in the industry instead of the industry kind of directing what we have access to. So right now I am trying to put together a social media campaign where people can come on and actually tell their story. Your face will be blanked out. Your voice will be distorted, so no one will know who you are. But if you have a story to tell, we want to hear it. We have a few questions that we have you answer. And we just want to break the stigma and let people know that, like, people are using cannabis and it is benefiting a lot of people in so many different ways. So just the platform to tell your story, but really still stay as secure as you need to while we kind of navigate this transition of breaking the stigma. Because I was telling you, Monica, it's a blessing to be able to speak out about cannabis like openly and not have to have anyone like worrying about who's going to take my paycheck or if it's going to like how that's going to affect my livelihood. So just kind of making the platform for people to be able to do that in their own way.
I love that. It's incredible.
That's amazing. And it reminds me of, like, you remember when you were a kid and they would kind of talk about some of the like drug cartels or drug runners, and they would wear the mask, like those big dudes were wearing masks and like doing their voice because they were afraid of being killed, right? Like repercussions, you snitched on us. Like they were actually worried for being gruesomely murdered, which is a big deal, right? But as women and as moms, we're still the same, a lot of us, because just like you and I have talked about, is that if your employer doesn't like it and they hear or see anything, oh, wow, we have the right in your handbook to randomly drug test you whenever you want. You're gone. I have a friend right now that's in a custody battle, and he had her randomly drug tested for marijuana, and that can take away her children. It's just mind-boggling because it's not anywho, I won't go down that rant, but that is so important for you to do, which I love that you're doing that. Where could a listener go to watch those right now?
So we are still building the campaign, but feel free to follow our Instagram page. It's at Stash Bag Data, just all together. So follow us there. That's where we're going to be sharing these stories as we get them in. And there will also be more information on how to submit your story if you'd like to share.
Oh, good. And we will post that all in the links. And outside of Stash Bag Data, being a fractional CFO, being a wife, being a mom to young children, you are also starting something that I think you and Brittany are really going to bond about, which is a sticker collection to destigmatize, to make cannabis approachable. And not like that giant weed sticker, which is cool if that's what people want. But as a mom, I don't want to walk into my kid's pre-K 3 class with a giant weed sticker, but I also don't want to have to hide it. So tell me and Brittany a little bit about this sticker collection.
It's cute, right? It's cute. It's little nods to cannabis. It's not so just obvious. Like I wanted it to be fun, like where if someone's just glancing by your sticker, they may not notice, right? Like they may not notice that it's a cannabis sticker, but if they take the time or if they speak the language, they will know. So it's just these cute nods to cannabis. And it's going to be from various viewpoints, various communities. So I have a mom collection coming out, just nods to moms. And I have a neurodivergent collection that I'm working on. So there's like approaching all of the different communities who actually use cannabis and kind of just giving them a way to acknowledge it, but not yell it out to the universe.
Almost like a bat signal to other cannabis using moms.
I love that.
How we find each other. It's how we find the weed people out in the public.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have heard of these. There are these baby carriers called Tulas. It's like this whole like cult of baby carrier people. I had several of them, clearly.
I was going to say, I think I have
one. But the magic of them is this thing these women like concocted on the internet where if they saw somebody out in public that also had a Tula on, you would go, caw, because there was this thing where people would like recognize that they were like Tula users. It's almost like the Jeep thing where people are like friends. It's a whole thing. The duck. Like, we need a thing for ours.
So this weekend, I had a really good friend over on Saturday night, but she is, oh my God, she's like a board certified pediatric dentist, also like surgeon. I don't know. She's mind blowing. She can't say she uses this. She can't, and she doesn't. She might have a drink like once a week. Who knows? It's very minuscule, but it's still, she can't say it. And I had my Cali sober sweatshirt on, and she was like, I can wear that. And I was like, oh, but look at this one. And I like lifted up my shirt, and it was one like, you've got to vote for your right to party. But the party had, instead of an A, the like weed leave. And I was like, you want to get this one? She's like, my children's parents would leave immediately if they ever saw me in this. And I was like, yes. So we do need, like, what you're doing is so needed.
It doesn't mean we're not necessarily proud of it, but also the stigma that still exists almost has to be, it's one of those things where we have to support each other in order for people that are having those stigmas still affect them, be able to work around them so that they can speak out in safe spaces. And that way, the stigma around it can be released slowly and not feel like we're outing people, because that's not cool. We don't like that. But at the same time, the only way to change getting rid of that is to change public perception. So it's this slow, like, work up a hill kind of thing to make sure we don't fall back down, but at the same time, still making sure that we know we're not alone.
I think that's the thing. It's because, like, the last thing I want to do is be like the weed mom, right? Like, I don't want to, like, I don't, like, want that to be my identity, but, like,
someone has to talk about the weed, right? Like, someone has to do it.
That's exactly what I scream. I'm like, do I want to be this? No. But if I don't,
who's doing it? Yeah, right. Exactly. We have to come together.
It's important because we have to rewrite the stereotype of what a weed mom is. Because what is a weed mom? Well, in my house, it's a mom that doesn't yell at her fucking kids. It's in my house, it's a mom that will actually hang out and play with her kids because she's not so overstimulated that she literally needs to go hide under a weighted blanket in her bed. That is who I was before cannabis was a regular part of my routine and how I do things. I don't know that my kids have ever seen me actually high, but they most days see me with cannabis operating in my system. And I think that that's the difference between what a weed mom is, quote unquote, supposed to be and what today's 2024 weed moms actually are. So rewriting that stigma, rewriting that stereotype is why we say shit out loud. That's why.
One of my mom's stickers in the mom collection is like, I like to get high and color with my kids.
Yes, that. Yes. I will actively craft with my children if I am high because I'm not so obsessive and psycho about colors getting mixed or because, you know what I mean? Like, my crazy isn't their fault. So I have to temper it in ways. Man, I should put that on a sticker. My crazy is not their fault.
My biggest one is I am learning by giving up alcohol and learning all these traumas about myself and using this mindfully. I'm learning to regulate my emotions, something that I was never taught before. Last night, my daughter was having a full-blown meltdown in the mall, and all I could think was, you should be happy I'm just letting you cry. I wasn't even allowed to cry.
Yeah.
And so it's given me, I feel like I'm learning how to regulate the emotions the exact same time I'm having to teach my children how to regulate their emotions. And it's hard. It is, but it's so much better than just yelling, shutting down, and creating another generation of people that are told to just shut things down and survive. I think people think that we just go get high. And it could not be more of the opposite. The other thing, if you're listening to this, go check out the podcast cover, but also go on YouTube, because the other thing that I think is so huge about this is that we all come from like different places and different backgrounds and different groups of people that we associate with daily. But if you listen right now to us, we are all the same person. And we've been taught that we're not.
And if you looked at us, like if you like, hey, screenshot, if you looked at us and said like, are these three women friends in real life? If you stereotyped us, the answer would be fuck no. Like, no. Monica looks like a bougie, crazy mom from the South. Kenya looks like she's way too cool for both of us. And I look mildly homeless sitting in my warehouse. It's a wild ride, you guys. But at the same time, that is what we're finding out on this podcast, is that there are so few things that separate us. There are so few.
We're going through the same things. Like we are living the same experiences. And some of those experiences are different, but like the day to day, like
At the core.
when you think about it, like we are moms, right? And so we all are going through like mom things at this point.
And we're women too. Like I never thought, I always said, oh, I'm not a feminist, or, oh, I'm not. There was almost like that word had been weaponized against us, where if you speak up, it puts you over here. And I think it scared men, to be honest with you, that it's just gets shoveled over there. And now, like I wrote to somebody yesterday that was originally going to be on the podcast. And I said, hey, I think we need to switch it up, because I'm finding this podcast is leaning very heavily into women empowerment. And I don't think a man on here is going to be great at this time.
It doesn't mean we couldn't find the right one.
Yeah, not that I didn't want to work with them, but I just never thought that that's what I would be doing. And there was such a negative connotation in my head around the word feminist. But we have had to fight different battles, and we do have a different experience in the world. And I feel, at least for me, I was told I didn't. And we do. And it's okay to talk about it. That doesn't mean someone's bad. They don't know that we have that experience. So I think feeling free to come out and talk about that adds so much to what else we do as moms, as entrepreneurs, as we're so many things.
We live different lives, quite obviously. I'm currently stickering envelopes for my sticker club, because that's what I do, because I can't just sit still. Look at this one I just pulled. It's Feminist Witch. It's literally the one I just pulled out while you were saying that. All I'm saying.
So we're going to find a way to do a Cali sober mom, imperfect inspiration, Kenya. Like, we're going to have a collaboration sticker. I don't know when. I have no clue what it's going to look like, but we will figure this out.
I've decided this is my new campaign for Cali Sober Mom. Kenya and I are going to design a line together, and we'll launch
Let's
it.
do
We're
it.
going to do it. We're
Let's
going to do it. It's going to be cute as shit. I love it for us. We're going to do it.
Well, Kenya, we cannot thank you enough for bringing your spirit, your energy, your time to us. I could talk to you forever.
God.
Like,
Yeah.
I love everything that you are doing.
Also, your child is so freaking cute.
Do you want to go hi?
Do you want to say hi?
Oh my God.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie.
Oh my
This is
God.
Cora. Okay,
So
hop
cute.
down.
And no rush. Before we jump off, we will let you leave the closing remarks. Anything you want out there or insight you want to add into this little world we're creating?
My insight is just to remind everyone that life does not have to be hard. Like there is, like you can find, maybe not easy, but easeful, right? Like life can be easeful, and you can create the life that you want, and it doesn't have to necessarily fit the structure that we've been seeing over and over. We can create something different. And so if you have something that it's on your heart to do, be brave and do that. And the universe will support you as you go through that whole thing.
You're such a cool person. Oh my God. Oh,
And tell us what you do, ladies, because we're going to support you too. So you tell us what you're doing, what you're stepping out on a limb to do, and we will share it on our socials. We will share it. Just let us know. Well, thank you for listening, and we will see you all soon.
Thanks for listening to the Cali Sober Mom podcast. The best way for us to get the word out is you. So share this episode with someone you know who will enjoy it. And be sure to follow Cali Sober Mom on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're consuming the show right now.